Fair enough. Well, we'll get on to my best young core. I feel is the Memphis Grizzlies. A reason I feel this way is because they finished ninth last season with a 38 and 34 record. They beat the Warriors in that last game. We all saw it. It was a nail biter. Ja Morant, did he have like 38 or something?
I mean, he was up there.
Yeah, he was amazing. And this is a guy who I doubted coming into the league because he's so skinny. And, I thought him going up high for the dunks and athletic plays that he makes, that it was bound to cause an injury, sooner rather than later. But after 2 years, with minor injuries, he's looked amazing. He's on an all-star trajectory. He averaged 17.8 points his first year and upped that to 19.1 in the second year. Realistically, he can probably get it to 21 or 22 this year, especially with some of the moves they made. Now, I wasn't very excited what they did in terms of getting rid of Valanciunas, but they did so, and bringing in Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe, but they did so in order to get Zaire Williams, who's another guy on this young core. But along with Ja Morant, they have a lot of other great players, but I want to dig a little bit more into him right now. Like I said, 19.1 points in his second year, and he's probably going to up that to 21 or in this next season. He's had 7 assists, about 7.5 each of the first 2 years, and 4 rebounds. This is a guy who is trying to make the plays for his team all the time, and he consistently makes them without making a whole lot of mistakes, as his turnovers per game were around 3 per game, which is hopefully going to decrease more to like 2.5 hopefully in the near future. But I like who he is as a dynamic player, and I think that if he can just play it a little safer, that they're going to go really far in the playoffs, especially just given what he's been able to do for them thus far. 3-point shooting leaves a lot to be desired, as he only shot 30% last year and 33% in his rookie year. I'm really looking for him to up that at some point. His shot really doesn't look bad. It doesn't have a hitch or anything in there. It's just really, I think it's going to be a matter of taking more, and then you'll be making more, hopefully at some point, especially practicing them enough. He upped it from 3 attempts his first season to 4 attempts his second season, so see that probably go to 5 attempts this year. In terms of shooting efficiently, he shot 47% his first year and 45% his last year. So a little dip, and we want to go a little bit back to that 47%. But again, as young as he is, being a point guard and so ball dominant, those are really solid numbers already, and I'm not worried about it, as I'm thinking the 3-point shot being as low as it is the reason it's going down. So I think this guy's going to continue to get better. He's had over 50 steals each of his first 2 years. He's an active guy on defense, and in transition, there's not many other guys I'd rather have. He's very fast, he's very crafty, and he can get around guys that are twice his size because it doesn't matter. He's a baller, and he's better than half the guys out there. So in terms of Ja Morant, we all know he's amazing. It's not, much to debate there, obviously. There's other guys on this team, too, I like a lot. Ja Morant's only 22 years old. You've got another guy in Jaren Jackson who's only 21 years old, and he is a better 3-point shooter and one of the better ones on the team. He's had that in close to 40% before. Hopefully he can get it back to that point. He kind of had a tough season in terms of shooting there last year, but he is a guy who's averaged 14 points a game before, and he gets rebounds, getting 5.6 a game, almost 2 offensive boards a game, and he gets a little bit active on offense, getting 1.5 blocks a game as well, or on defense, that is. So this is a guy who I expect to get better as well. It's just going to be a matter of getting that 3-point shot more intact, and I think that, you've got a really nice duo there.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah,
sorry, do you have something to say? Yeah.
No, that's all. Yeah, he was most out for most of the year last year, so he was coming off injury. That's why he didn't do that as well in stats.
Yep.
Yeah, Triple J is awesome.
Yep.
He, if I remember right, he's not a good rebounder at all for a 4, which is his main glaring issue. Which he's good defensive guarding anything. He just can't pick up those rebounds. He's got to get bigger and more aggressive down there. I think will help with that. But he was off injury this his third year, and his first year, who was? Oh, they still had Marc Gasol, so he didn't get as much movement time. They play him on and off between power forward and center, and I think this year they're gonna push him more towards center, especially with Steven Adams as their main center when they want to open up the floor with Brandon Clark at the 4. I think that's gonna be a rotation they'll get after more often than not.
Did you just say Marc Gasol was on the Grizzlies last year?
No, his rookie year.
Oh, his rookie year. Oh, I misheard you.
He was there for half the season.
Yeah, you're right. No, I mean, in 23 minutes per game, he averaged 5.5 rebounds. I think if you're closer to that 30-minute mark, you're about 7 rebounds, which, yeah, we want that to be a little bit higher. But I think, like you said, it's just a matter of being more active. I like his potential as a defender, and he's faster, so he can guard on the perimeter. He's not going to be a total liability. Last year, yeah, he only played, 11 games, so it was the season before that gave you some promise, and hopefully into this next year, it's going to just build upon that.
Yeah, for sure.
So beyond Jaren Jackson, the Grizzlies, they made a really surprising, well, maybe not super surprising trade, but definitely a blockbuster move where they traded Jonas Valanciunas, and they traded a first round pick to move up 8 spots to get the 10th overall pick. And they also took on 2 pretty terrible contracts, especially in Eric Bledsoe and then in Steven Adams. But they also got a future first-round pick out of it. And so what that tells me is that they don't think that the core they have is quite ready to compete yet, and they want to build more future assets upon that to have within the next 2 or 3 years from now when they're ready to be more aggressive. Similar with their move trading away Grayson Allen, who was a pretty solid player for them, good defender, and shoots a 39% clip from 3. They traded him away for 2 second-round picks. So
they just didn't want to pay him.
Great
move for the Bucks. Definitely got better this season.
Yeah, great move for the Bucks. Just give up 2 second-round picks to get a solid player like himself. But the Grizzlies, they made that move to get to the 10th overall, and they used that pick on Zaire Williams, a guy who had a disappointing season for college in terms of where his just trajectory seemed to be going. He played 20 games. He started in 14 of them, 28 minutes. So he played most of the games, and he only shot 37.5% from the field on 10 attempts and 29% from 3. And this was a guy in high school who seemed like he could make those shots with fairly fair ease. So the potential they still thought was there. They obviously thought someone else was going to take him, so they move up to 10 to grab him. He's a dude with a lot of promise in terms of his size as well. A 6'8" forward who can dribble the ball as well as he can. He can get up real high and get creative around the rim, so that's a guy who they think has more star potential than anybody else that was available there. Whether you want to argue that, it's up to you, but Zaire, Jaren Jackson, and John Morant, that's who they see as their big 3 going forward, better or worse.
Yeah, I didn't agree with their draft. I didn't think they were the right team to take on Zaire, especially as the project that he's seen as. Like they, not that the potential is not there, but he's not where they want to be. I don't think his timeline lines up with theirs. I thought Moses Moody was a shoo-in for this pick, just like a lot of people. He could come out and produce right away, but. Right. And they, we talked about it, that's who they were targeting with this trade, and that would have helped them out a lot. But I think they're bought into Bane. I think they really liked him last year, and I think that's who they want to start at shooting guard for now. But it's a really tough decision for them because at the same time they haven't had a core. Their core hasn't been around as long, so and especially with Triple J out, their second best young player, like. They haven't seen what they really have been a part of, just like the Timberwolves last season. Like their big 4 played 1 game, 2 games together, no games together. The 4 haven't played, but their big 3 played 4 games together. I forget.
Well, and regardless, it's a team who was able to make the playoffs last year, even with those injuries. And Desmond Bain is a guy I was going to get to. He's 23 and shot 43% from the three last year. A lot of promise, 9 points per game, and he had 4 threes per game shooting that 43%. So a lot of promise there on a guy coming right out of college, and it doesn't look like he's going to be a guy who's just a catch and shoot three. He needs to get better at his ball handle so he doesn't turn over the ball, but in terms of being a pure shooter and defender, I think he's got a lot of promise. We've seen him. He's ripped as hell, and I think he can, if he can just put in the same effort he puts in on offense, he'll be totally fine. So he's a great player on their team. Zaire Williams, kind of getting back to him. He is 19 right now, and in his last summer league game, the 3-point and shooting was kind of the big question mark. He shot 4 of 6 from 3, so that's pretty nice. Obviously, you like to see that. 3 of 6 from the free throw line isn't nice though. So, look to see him get a little bit better in those categories. 2 steals, 2 turnovers. So give and take with Zaire Williams. I think this guy, he's got a lot of potential just in terms of getting out in transition, and John Morant throwing big outlet passes out to him and getting dunks, and they realize that that's going to help them out a lot. And you got your shooting with Desmond Bain. DeAndre Melton is a solid young player as well. He shot 41% from 3 last year on 3.5 attempts. So that's another guy who shoots well, and he had 9.1 points as well. So him and Desmond Bain, very similar in what they give the Grizzlies, both over 20 minutes a game. They like those guys both a lot, and they're both 22 years old. Another guy who you mentioned briefly as well, Brandon Clark, is a up-and-coming power forward. He's 24 years old, and he's really good on the inside in terms of just backing guys down in the post and, being able to do the dirty work. He had 56% shooting, and obviously not really a threat from the 3, but hopefully, he can add that at some point. Otherwise, you need good bigs who are limber like himself and can get into the paint and do the dirty work. 1 block per game, 1 steal per game. I like his potential on defense as well.
Yeah, I really like Brandon Clark. I think his role fits better when they're running him at the 6th man, and that's what hurt his stats last year. He had to start, and that's not the normal role he's fit into because Triple J was out. So they, a lot of coaches, most coaches would just, even if they have their set 6th man, they would still put somebody in front of that 6th man so they can keep their role, because that's important. And so I kind of thought it was weird that they did move him up to starting, especially because he was doing so well in a 6-man role, and he his rookie year. He's like, yeah, I'll be their 6th man. I thought he was a perfect fit.
Yeah, no, I think as this group matures more, that's going to be a guy who kind of becomes underrated, but everyone who's been watching the whole time knows he's a big reason for their success,
Oh, yeah.
One last guy I want to give a shout out to. He's out of that 24-year-old bracket, but he's such an important player for them. 25 years old is Dylan Brooks. 17 points per game last season. 34% from the 3, so it's not great yet, but I think that's getting better. And overall, his potential just as a bucket getter has been great. His mid-range scoring is one of the best in the league. As I've seen as a Timberwolves fan, he fucking kills us every time. So I know very well who Dylan Brooks is. He shoots 81% from the free throw line. I know when he gets when he gets down close to the clutch time, you need guys in your starting lineup who can make shots. This is a guy who's going to be able to be counted on. 1 steal per game. He doesn't give you a whole lot in other areas, similar to like an Andrew Wiggins, where you've got 3 rebounds per game, 2 assists. It's not much in those categories, but he's a shooting guard, and he'll give you a lot of nice catch and shoot opportunities. He'll get himself open, and he'll create opportunities for himself.
Oh, yeah, he's a solid, sneaky player. Like, nobody knows that. Like, he's scoring 17 points a game, but nobody knows who Dylan Brooks is. It's pretty crazy. Like I didn't even pay attention to him that much, and I think I was watching a Timberwolves game, and I was like, who's this guy? I was like, who's this guy, and why is he killing us?
Yeah.
It was crazy. But,
always.
Yeah, he's a solid shout-out. Good
death
piece.
taxes and Dylan Brooks destroying the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yep. It's inevitable.
Well, great. Well, those were our young cores, Memphis Grizzlies and Sacramento Kings, both West teams. So, sorry, East. Get better, maybe. I don't know. But, I'm liking what we're seeing with young talent in the league. Obviously, there's a lot of great young talent everywhere. I would have said the Boston Celtics potentially as the best young core just because they have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But, in terms of just overall, like 5 or 6 players on each team, just great talent building up that are really young. I think the Kings and the Grizzlies are looking real nice.
I love an underdog.
Love an underdog.
So Celtics aren't an underdog. I don't care what you think. They're not.
No, No, the Celtics will never be an underdog. As long as you're from the city of Boston, you're not an underdog.
Second best, most successful team in the NBA. So historically, so they're not. They'll never be an underdog. No. Just like the Lakers will never be.
No,
they weren't an underdog when they
Lakers
won
fans.
8 games that one season. They still weren't an underdog.
Well, LeBron always wants to start the underdog mentality too. Like he put an Instagram post out there during this free agency that he since deleted like the same day, where he was saying, "Oh yeah, you don't think we hear you talk about how old we are? We'll keep that same energy when we're out there kicking ass," basically, And it was like, bro, don't be trying to make this underdog mentality. You guys just traded for an 8-time All-Star who owns the triple-double record in the NBA. Like, shut up.
Yeah, they have the best, arguably the second best big three. So, I don't know. They're definitely not an underdog.
No one feels bad.
I have them in the finals in my predictions, so.